get off my lawn.
Greetings viewers, I here with another video for all of you. This wasn't the ship I wanted to talk about. I had someone to beat me to the punch on that other ship and said everything I wanted to say, so here we are. I think we can all agree that season 2 of Helluva Boss became the Stolitz show, yeah? The premiere episode gives backstories no one really asked for and could have figured out for themselves, and really only 3 episodes have absolutely zip to do with the relationship between Blitz and Stolitz. I've heard that Stolitz was originally meant to be an antagonist for the show, and yeah, I could assume being the upper crust demon who'd holding the grimoire over Blitz's head in exchange for sexy times. However, Brandon Rogers then went to VivziePop, and for whatever reason, they changed the Twigbird's personality so that he has genuine feelings for Blitz. I watched this show to see demons kill people while swearing a whole bunch. Not for melodrama I could get out of any rom-com anime. At first I was like, haha, the guy who doesn't respect his employees' boundaries isn't having his own boundaries respected. But now it's, oh god, they really want me to root for this relationship. Despite how dysfunctional it is and how little both parties really know each other. I'm not joking either. Charlie and Vaggie knowing what kind of shampoo the other likes says a lot more about their relationship than Stolitz. And they all know how I feel about that relationship too. So what we're going to do here is go through each Stolitz episode and see how they work as a relationship. Right now.
Fuck me in my little red hole!
Stolitz meets with his ex-wife Stella and her brother Androphis to discuss the terms of their divorce, but Stella would rather throw insults, and Stolitz frequently checks his phone for text messages between him and Blitz. We can see here that Stolitz is giving these really detailed messages, and Blitz is giving poorly spelled one-word responses, showing that Stolitz is trying to talk things out after the disastrous night they had at Ozzy's, while Blitz would really rather avoid the whole discussion and just move on. Due to the return of Stryker, who restrains Blitz, Stolitz, the blessed rope and drags him off to his lair back in Wrath. While being bound and tortured by Stryker, Stolitz insists that Blitz will come and rescue him, only for Foxy and Millie to arrive and get into a fight with Stryker instead. So where's Blitz, I hear you ask? At a hospital in Wrath, playing pet and pet owner because Luna refuses to get her rabies shot. To me, this is all a misguided expectation on Stolitz's part, because he's convinced that Blitz is his knight in shining armor. He's just so convinced that the imp will show up and rescue him while he's being stabbed, and Stryker's even making hints that he may go after Octavia just for funsies. Blitz, for his part, places Nuna's appointment as a higher priority than Stolitz's life, and believes that Stolitz will be fine due to his powers, despite being told over the phone why he couldn't use them. So no, I don't buy his shock when he's later told that Stolitz was injured by Stryker. More focus is put on the pairing of Blitz and Fizzarali as they fight to survive Crimson's mob after being kidnapped by Stryker, even though they didn't really need Blitz, he just got involved. But there's still some Stolitz material here. Stolitz meets with Asmodeus and Crystal. I brought them up in my husband video, but I'll better explain them here. Asmodeus and Crystal is a special item that allows a demon to open portals anywhere on Earth, and it is perfectly legal to use by Hell's Law. Ironic, you wouldn't expect her to have laws, but I digress. After some thought, Stolitz has realized just how conditional his relationship with Blitz really is, and as much as he's come to have genuine feelings for Blitz, he doesn't really want the imp to be bound to him by obligation. Blitz, for his part, is still convinced that Stolitz sees him as nothing but a novelty, and to be fair, Stolitz hasn't really done much on screen to disprove that assumption.
This is the worst!
We get a musical number at the start of this episode, with Stolitz intending to enact his plan regarding Blitz tonight, and apparently they haven't met for a while until this point. We also get Blitz uncharacteristically excited about seeing Stolitz, except he's always given off the impression that he, hates having to live up to his end of the deal. What happened here? Is it opposite day? Blitz is looking forward to banging Stolitz, and Stolitz is absolutely racked with anxiety that things may not go as planned. The majority of this episode is dumb and boring. Do you care? I didn't care when I was originally watching this. Let's skip to the part people actually cared about. So we arrive at the 17 mark, and the pair finally meet. And then Stolitz says he needs the grimoire back permanently, causing Blitz to have a freak out. Why exactly, you might ask? Blitz grew up with an absolute dickbag for a father, who only vowed his son based on what the kid could do for him, giving Blitz to believe that any form of love is transactional, and he was only worth loving if he could be of value. Then he accidentally burned down his family circus, leading to his best friend's disfigurement and his mom's death, as well as being disowned by his family. Still saying he wants the book back translates into Blitz's mind that he no longer sees value in Blitz. And because his entire business relies on using the grimoire to travel Earth, Blitz is begging Stolitz not to take away the book, because that would mean an end to his livelihood, says they can do a much better job of banging Stolitz. Stolitz presents Blitz with the Asmodean crystal he got from Asmodeus and explains that Blitz can now legally keep his business going under Ozzy's authority, saying that the transactional relationship between them isn't right, and that if Blitz is going to continue seeing Stolitz, it should be by his own choice. The one thing Stolitz fans and haters can agree on is that the dumb bird is absolutely terrible at communicating with others. In his mind, this is a noble and romantic action, but is absolutely oblivious to how he just scared the bejesus out of Blitz by saying he wanted the book back first, and that's not counting for the fact that he never specified through text that he wanted to talk tonight, rather than have the usual full moon bang session. So all of this and his confession that he's developed genuine feelings for Blitz was completely out of left field for the imp. So to be fair to Stolitz, Blitz did try to avoid having conversations before this, so they're both at fault here. And the dramedy continues. Blitz thinking this is all foreplay and joking around about loving Stolitz, being absolutely shocked that the owl is being serious, and that he's determined that Blitz has absolutely no feelings for him, and gets all melodramatic.
I have wanted you for so long. The fact that you couldn't believe that I might have these feelings about you, that your first instinct is that it's always about sex.
Okay, back the fuck up. That was all you.
This is a really bad time. But isn't it a bad time, Blitzy? What is it? I've been meaning to follow up on our last conversation regarding my grimoire. What did you just call me? My book, Blitzy. The book I've to do my job that I've allowed you to use to do yours. Here, you darling! Shit. Anywho, I've been thinking, I've been permitting you to access the mortal realm less than legally for some time now, but I do need it back to fulfill my duties. I was thinking, what if we worked out some kind of exchange? Favors for favors. Doesn't that sound enticing? Stop using your fancy ass rich people talk, okay? I'm trying to concentrate on getting fucked in my age! Let me keep it simple. Once a month, on the full moon, you return the book to me, followed by a night of passionate fornication. And you get to keep it all the rest of the time. Sound fair, my little imp? Fine, whatever.
What is this revisionist history? I genuinely do not blame Blitz for blowing up its Stolitz for treating him like a plaything for so long, then pulling this "I have genuine feelings for you" garbage out of nowhere. Oh god, I'm annoyed. And the next segment isn't gonna be any better.
Oh, you think I can't apologize?
Opposite day 2, Electric Boogaloo. The Blitz being the aggressively sexual one, and still is having absolutely zero interest in his advances. Yay! I'm loving this episode so far. Blitz came in with no other plan than thinking that all he had to do was talk dirty, and everything would go back to normal because they're going to Blitz, they don't talk, they'd have sex. Stolitz, however, says he doesn't so much as want to do words with Blitz right now, still feeling hurt from the night before, although that was kind of his fault. He's flat out saying that seeing Blitz right now is bad for his emotional health, and Blitz ignores that because, well, the episode goes out its way to make Blitz look as bad as possible, while Season 2 continues its mission of the webbification of Stolitz. During their argument, Stolitz brings up that he was invited to an annual anti-Blitz party, specifically by Blitz's ex-girlfriend, Veronica Mayday, specifically because he is Blitz's latest ex. Okay, how does she know this? Knowing they were probably involved, I can understand, because she was at Ozzy's the night Stolitz and Blitz were put on blast in front of everyone by Asmodeus and Vizzarali, but she really shouldn't have any knowledge of their breakup, especially if we're meant to believe that this is the morning after the full moon. His sister is Blitz and being particularly petty, saying that everyone going to this is just bitter, that they can tie him down, and that relationships are boring. Stolitz keeps ordering Blitz to leave, and Blitz, with zero prompting, accuses Stolitz of getting off to plowing people he looks down on.
I don't look down on you. How many times do I? When have I ever? As shocking as it may seem, Blitzy, my grimoire is actually incredibly important, and it isn't supposed to be lent out to itty-bitty ints like yourself.
Yeah, I may not have meant it to be condescending, but that's how it came off as.
Why would I allow everyone to see how much I like you?
Only did that once, and it was at the Harvest Moon Festival.
How I've tried so fucking hard to spend time with you.
And this is really the only time we've ever seen these two spend time together casually. Even then it was kind of a farce. And so this rambling doesn't make any sort of impact on Blitz, we get this line.
Do you feel any kind of remorse for what you do?
This line was in the trailer for the second half of season 2, and a lot of people, myself included, assumed this was directed at Stella and Drelfis, but no. It's directed at Blitz, who fires back that he apologizes of his rally while they were fighting for their lives. Thus begins the titular apology tour, which I had thought would actually be a bigger aspect of the episode than what we got. We get a montage of Blitz going around giving insincere apologies to characters that don't really matter, until he decides he's going to meet Veronica, and he apparently knows what her big anti-Blitzo party is in the living world. Oh yes, I mentioned this takes place on Halloween night, the one night a year that demons can legally walk around the living world, because humans will just assume that they're walking around in costume. Gotta be honest, I straight up hated this whole party scene the first time I saw it. The whole episode has had this fuck you Blitz attitude. This is where it feels the most egregious. There's anti-Blitz merchandise everywhere designed to be ripped apart. Pins that can be sold at the VivziePop store. Pinatas, a dead Blitz cake with arrows thrown in. And they even set fire to an actual Blitz plushie. I am in total agreement with Stolitz when he calls this whole thing petty, especially when Veronica goes feral on the cake. At the height of the party, Veronica and Vortex invite Stolitz to perform with them, and admittedly it's a pretty decent song. Stolitz, of course, singing about his relationship with Blitz, and every time he starts to ponder, hey, maybe I was at fault for some of this, he's immediately smacked down by saying, no, he's a motherfucker, and Stolitz did nothing wrong, despite... You know, Veronica knowing absolutely nothing about the relationship between her and Blitz, just projecting her bitterness onto Stolitz. Now, during that whole song, Blitz actually breaks down at a much more humble imp that approaches Stolitz and makes a genuine attempt to explain his behavior.
Stolitz, you are better off without me, okay? You deserve so much. I don't even know why you would want to be with me.
You want to know what I want? I want to know what it's like to not be alone. I want to be someone's someone. I want to feel wanted.
Oof. That hits way too close to home. As much as I hated this whole party scene going into it, I can admit that this last interaction between them in the episode, where they sit down and actually talk to each other, is a decent bit of closure for both of them. There isn't that much Stolitz material here, but the fact that Blitz is so depressed after the party that he's closed himself off in his office is a plot point. I don't remember if having binged on junk was probably bad for me after a breakup, but it's definitely a trope in media. Blitz has also been irresponsibly spending company funds on decorative horse plates and an insane amount of taxidermy owls just so Luna can burn them. Later, when he's possessed by the Fester Ronaldo, we see the night that Stolitz gave him the Asmodean crystal amongst his worst memories.
I am the mastermind, and here I am the law.
Okay, the fact that still knows about the Stolitz breakup just really confuses me. How do people keep finding out about this? Did Stolitz keep going on to hell Twitter, crying his eyes out? Anyway, Stolitz is all giddy about Blitz breaking Stolitz's heart and saying that it serves Stolitz right, and so all Blitz wanted from him was the Grimoire. Well, it turns out that Stolitz letting Blitz keep the Grimoire was a very illegal thing to do, and since then, Drellfist and Stella opted to just wait for an opportunity to usurp Stolitz's power and take away everything he has rather than kill him. You see, Peacock now knows what to do. Have Blitz strike the Hell Court with the claim that he forced himself on Stolitz to gain access to the Grimoire, and then attempted to assassinate him in order to keep him silent. This is actually really dumb, as pointed out by several other YouTubers, and Drellfist claims that Stolitz isn't present because he can't bear to be around his aggressor. But the whole scheme is meant to wrest power away from Stolitz, so why isn't he here? Maybe I can understand involving Blitz if Stolitz was charged alongside him, but no. Apparently the plan that Stolitz would be watching TV and catch the trial, which is a huge risk. Without considering the possibility that Blitz might be doing something other than watching TV, like reading a book or spending time with his daughter. Remember this. I can think of quite a few bird villains that are smarter than Andy and Stella, and one of them was a sidekick.
Holy fuck, is this wrong? But holy hell, is it erotic?
His plot demands it. Stolitz arrives just in time to keep Blitz from being executed, and proclaims he'll explain everything, despite he has little to no clue to what's going on. He doesn't know why Blitz is on trial, and zero clue why Blitz was nearly executed, and yet he knows what all of this is about. He claims that he's the one who masterminded everything Blitz did, and no one really questions this. Yes, while self-sacrifice is normally noble, and this gets Blitz to confess his love for Stolitz, who's willing to risk everything for him. Stolitz says he's completely at loss as to why he's risking his life for somebody he deems an idiot, only to then say, "I'd rather be dead than to live without you by my side. Remember this." Stolitz is totally prepared to be beheaded, only for Satan to reveal that because he's demon royalty, his life will be spared, but his status and everything that comes along with it will be stripped from him and given to Drellfist until Octavia has come of age to inherit her father's magic and possessions, while Stolitz will be banished for 100 years. With absolutely nowhere for Stolitz to go, Stolitz offers to let him live with him and Luna in their apartment. I mean, Stolitz could probably go live with Vistago, unless the rules of his banishment prohibit any other Goetia giving him aid, and this is meant to be a heartwarming development, so we're gonna go with it.
Merry fucking sins, miss, am I right?
The season finale gives the impression that this takes place after the trial, though we're told it's been a month. The vast majority of this episode, so much shipping that every YouTuber out there that isn't a reactor, and so this feels like fan fiction. Yeah, I can see it. It's just too idealistic, and like something I'd have read on fanfiction.net back when I was a dumb teenager and would read any kind of trash. Blitz is just over the moon about Stolitz now. Seeing Stolitz willing to risk everything for him causes him to have a 180 about his attitude towards Stolitz, since the only other person we've seen him be this accommodating to is his adoptive daughter Luna. Blitz is making him breakfast, taking him clothes shopping, taking him on errands, and on a basic lunch date, and even tries to hire him for IMP. He's really supportive of him. Stolitz, for his part, okay, I'm not really sure. On the one hand, he's appreciative that Blitz is willing to associate with him, since every other MC resident outside of IMP views him as a dick, tried to frame innocence for his crimes, but he also exhibits traits from royals that Blitz despises. I mean, if I was living with my partner, I'd be willing to try and eat whatever she put in front of me, even if she didn't make the eggs the way I was used to. Really? You'd rather eat common rats found in an alley, just because you find Blitz's cooking off-putting because it's eggs? Apart from that, yeah, I guess this whole thing comes off as wholesome. Remember when Karen was the name for actually likable female characters? I do. But now we get the name attached to characters like this who are irredeemably obnoxious, and I don't know who to blame for this trend. Apparently her husband cheated on her with another man, and she wants him dead, so her daughter's on exposed with that heinous lifestyle known as homosexuality. Considering that this version of hell seems to be a very same-sex relationship positive place, this might wind up to be truly hell for this woman. Blitz, Eminem, and even Luna go on this hit, only to find that their target seems to be having a rather wholesome Christmas with his daughters and his new partner. And Blitz not only can't bring himself to kill the guy, but sees himself and Stolitz with their daughters in his place. I've been struggling to try and describe this scene that isn't just parroting what other YouTubers have said before, but yeah, this does feel more than a little forced. The only reason Blitz doesn't go through the hit is because he's now with Stolitz, who now seems way more inwardly focused, focusing on his changed dynamic with Blitz, and is ignoring that the few times he's interacted with Octavia, she's never really been that happy to be around the guy. She's described as a weird red dickhead who ruined what she thought was a happy family.
Meanwhile,
What a fucking idiot I am! This was so stupid, I cannot believe I could be this fucking stupid, I ruined everything!
The number of times this has been me. I do kinda like how Stolitz realizes how much he threw away for the sake of indulging in his foolish fantasies, but if you were a die-hard Stolitz shipper and heard him address his relationship with Blitz as such, that might actually be heartbreaking. Stolitz storms back to his now frozen estate to see Octavia, regardless of what happens to him, and is saved from being killed by Andrelphus by the Imp team. It's a decent fight, but it's clear they're outmatched, until Octavia appears and overpowers her uncle, and agrees to go along with the narrative that he was overpowered by a bunch of lower class demons. Unfortunately, this isn't the happy reunion Stolitz expected. This is Octavia saying goodbye. Surprise! Octavia saw her dad on live TV willing to be killed for Blitz's sake, and finding bottles of antidepressants and completely misunderstanding why he would need them was just the straw that broke this outlet's back. Stolitz promised that he would never leave Octavia, then was prepared to die for Blitz, effectively leaving his supposedly precious daughter behind, and then had to leave her in the custody of the mother, who seems to prioritize her own satisfaction over her daughter's well-being. I said on Twitter that this episode almost made me cry. I created that as the voice acting of Bryce Pickerman, Barta Weed, giving one hell of a performance, since I honestly feel that Stolitz losing his position and his daughter is the perfect consequence for Stolitz using his self-indulgence over Octavia and allowing IMP to have illegal use to his grimoire. Side note, fuck whoever said Octavia deserves to be abused for cutting off her dad. Blitz and Stolitz do have a rather wholesome bonding moment and a little dance at the end of the episode, but it's clear that Stolitz just isn't feeling it like he used to. I am not a Stolitz fan, considering I know how it started, and I have largely taken breaks from scripting and recording this simply because it's not for me. I honestly had an easier time scripting the Luna-centric episode that introduced Beelzebub. That said, I am still interested in seeing where the show goes from here, despite how many people are jumping ship. It's clear that season 2 underperformed, and that's honestly surprising since I generally feel that it was better written than has been season 1. Honestly, I am open to the idea of Stolitz developing, but that's up to Viv and Brandon, not just blindly romanticizing the relationship like they did with Sinsmith. I'd honestly be a fool if I didn't see that this season didn't give us some pretty decent character exploration. Asmodeus and Fizarelli go from being those two guys who haze Stolitz to Stolitz if there was no coercion and more than just lust. As to my understanding of Stolitz's arc, of letting the Goetia family determine what he's going to do with his life, and how he's going to act by coming to Blitz's rescue, and Ghostfuckers pretty much implies that Blitz is going to start respecting people's boundaries, and not try to turn himself into Moxie and Millie's relationship anymore. However, for every good episode and right decision that the season has had, I'm not going to pretend that there haven't been those. I've turned people off to seeing what season 3 is going to be like. Considering that it's going to be a considerable amount of time before season 3 comes out, I can only hope that the writing is going to improve so we don't get another unhappy campers or seeing stars. And this is Night saying thanks for letting me share my thoughts. Please share yours with me.